The storytelling style is interesting and interesting, like a person telling the story. The world would remain dark at night if no one ever stood up to challenge that darkness. One such person who dared to stand up was a deaf boy named Thomas Alva Edison, who would later become one of the world's greatest inventors. He not only invented new inventions, but also changed the way people lived throughout the world forever. Born on February 11, 1847, in Milan, Ohio, USA, the youngest of 7 children, Edison was born into a relatively wealthy family, but was buoyed by his mother's strong belief in him. From a young age, Edison suffered from hearing problems. He was deafened by an infection, which worsened with childhood abuse. His hearing was so poor that he was considered nearly deaf. His homeroom teacher also deemed him a slow learner and unfit for a regular classroom. After only a few months of school, he was expelled from school. But that wasn't the end of the story, but a new beginning. His mother, Nancy Edison, chose to homeschool her son. She instilled in him a love of reading and exploring knowledge. Edison spent much of his time reading science books, physics, mathematics, and biographies of great scientists. He often questioned the world around him, such as, why does the sky change color? Or, why does lightning occur? Questions that some adults might consider annoying turned into endless fuel for his curiosity. At age 12, Edison began working small jobs selling newspapers and snacks on trains. He didn't use the money for entertainment, but saved it to buy experimental equipment and chemicals. He eventually built a small laboratory in a freight car. However, his experiments didn't always go smoothly. One day, he spilled a chemical, causing a fire in the train car, and was injured, leaving him deaf in one ear, permanently impaired. However, this disability turned out to be a positive aspect, as it allowed him to focus and concentrate on his work. His time on the trains also introduced him to the popular telegraph technology. He began learning how to use and repair the telegraph, becoming proficient at it, leading to his inventions. At age 29, Edison established a large laboratory in Menlo Park, New Jersey, which he called the Invention Factory. It was the world's first, not just a laboratory, but a center of innovation where engineers, scientists, and technicians worked together. Edison worked almost non-stop. Sometimes he experimented hundreds of times without giving up. What set him apart from previous inventors was that he didn't just invent, he also made inventions practical in everyday life and commercially viable. Over his lifetime, Edison held over 1,000 patents, covering a wide range of fields, from the telegraph, the phonograph, electrical systems, and even the motion picture camera. The phonograph, the world's first sound recorder and playback device. Everyone who heard his recordings were amazed because it was the first time a human voice could be recorded and played back. The incandescent lamp. Although not the first inventor, Edison was responsible for making the light bulb practical, lasting for decades, and successfully commercializing it. The light bulb became a symbol of lighting the world. He also developed the kinetoscope, which paved the way for the motion picture industry. Edison worked non-stop until the end of his life. He collaborated with many notable figures, including Henry Ford, and became known as the Wizard of Menlo Park. When he died in 1931, the United States turned off its lights for 1 minute to honor the man who lit up the world. His light may have been extinguished for a moment, but his work and ideas will continue to shine forever. Edison once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." He viewed failure not as the end, but as another stepping stone to success. Had he given up that day, the world might have remained in darkness for decades. Thomas Edison's story is proof that life's shortcomings or obstacles do not define our worth. Being perceived as slow learner or incapable is not the final judgment, but an opportunity to prove yourself through effort and conviction. So what about you? When faced with failure, do you view it as a dead end or simply a detour on the road to success?